Hello, everyone. This is JD Calderon. This is Indy Comics Explained. And yet again, I brought on another fantastic group of guests. And please hit like, hit subscribe, share out the video, let everybody know we're here. And before we even start the program, I'm just going to say that there's been some things that's gone on that I've personally been involved in. One of my co-hosts has been involved in. And we're going to dig into that a little bit, but just a little bit. Once we go over it, we're just going to go back to our regularly scheduled program of just answering questions and talking about indie comics. But this does involve that. But let me bring on my co-hosts. What's up, Mr. J?
What is up, Mr. Calderon? How we doing? For those of us who are new to the show, my name is JD Rosario. I've been publishing comic books under the Unstoppable Comics imprint since 2008, based out of the greatest city in the world, Brooklyn, New York. And we've ranged the gamut from superhero, sci-fi, fantasy, horror to nothing these last few years, based on what we're going to show in the next few moments. So thanks for visiting the live stream, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. And our Coco.
Hello, everyone. This is Mark Torres, your co-host for Indy Comics Explained from Came From the Radio, the show, the Big Apple Con. I want to thank you all for watching our show instead of watching the Oscars, because we're much more important than that.
Hell yeah. They got their money already.
Those people have been paid. What's up, Scott? Introduce yourself, sir.
Yeah, good luck fitting into a tuxedo if you want to beat out the Oscars. I don't think it's going to happen. Scott Rosenbaum, longtime comics pro. I've been loitering around Marvel, DC, Disney, Warner Brothers, Valiant, Archie, blah, blah, blah for years now. And making a little bit of a splash, making a nuisance of myself. And but I started in the independent area, and I'm still kind of drifting back in that direction with my own productions and projects and stuff. But hanging around and trying to bring a little class to the joint, if you understand what I'm talking about. So,
Mr. Brian, how are you, sir?
I'm good. What up, everybody? I'm Brian Christgau. I am the creator of the comic book series Six Gun Gorilla: Long Days of Vengeance.
Liar.
And part of this indie comic scene, and feel very privileged to be part of it. So excited to hang out with so many cool people, so many passionate people. Because one of the things about indie comics is pretty much every book that you get is a passion project.
Oh God,
Yep.
Yes, it has to be.
Yep.
How you doing, Deandre?
I'm doing well. I'm Deandre Mcneal, rounding out the panel of follically challenged men.
Jay, you got to get out of here. We got you all classed.
I am founder and editor-in-chief of Odyssey Comics. We are a fresh face to the indie scene, but looking to make a big splash this year with our titles that we got in production right now. And this time, my third time on the show. Always good to be here.
Nice.
Thank you, sir.
I'm stealing that line.
Carlos, you there? Introduce yourself.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes.
All right. Good deal. My name is Carlos Rafael, the publisher of Champion Comics, Coalition Comics, and I have out there the New Remarkables. We have the Power Company.
Don't throw the books.
American Woo! We had that like last.
That book went from 9.6 to 9.4.
Yeah, 9.4. Probably an 8.0 now. And then there's Team Supremus, and last but not least, Torvald versus Taranis. Look at that wonderful cover. And
I would like to see the wonderful cover, but it's your choice.
Ooh.
it is the Thor 337 homage.
Oh, that's
Nice.
Walt Simonson did not do this, but
he would love it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Who did that cover?
Erwin Arosa did the cover. guy's just
Beautiful.
a fantastic artist, and he does a lot of indie work out there. And yeah, we got some great covers, but got some great story as well. So it's not all about the cover, but yeah, we got all of that going, and you can purchase all of that from me directly at this point while we're building the website.
Hell yeah.
Gotcha.
Nice.
Nice. Cool. All right. Well, gentlemen, like I said at the beginning of the show, I'm going to put up a video. We're going to sit here and watch it. It runs about 10 minutes. Then you guys can, I'm going to open up the floor to you guys to ask myself and Mr. J questions about whatever's going on, you know. And then
We'll give you the third.
What?
We'll give you the third degree. Well, you're going to put that like lamp over your head and everything like that. And
Third degree burns.
Interrogation.
Yeah, I've already been through it, so it's okay.
Uh-oh.
You know, it's okay.
just so long as everybody gets their story straight.
Oh, I don't know about that, but
It's all good, brother.
I got you.
Here's the.
Hello and welcome to this edition of the Dojo Kun Chill Shack. Today's topic is the Fraud Investigation's amended findings video related to the Liberty Entertainment distribution debacle and whether or not they could get comic books from themselves and several other creators into Spencer's Gifts, and whether or not this has been a fraud. These are my credentials. I'm not going to read them all to you. I'm not really here to impress. Just want you to know that I am qualified to opine on the subject. So the Liberty Entertainment distribution debacle involved an awful lot of deception, misleading comments, and lies by omission. But one of the things that we were able to point out are the name changes. Basically, whoever was perpetrating this fraud couldn't even get their own story straight. Spencer's Gifts LLC later was called SSH Holdings, doing business as Spencer's Gifts. Jill Watts became Jill Morris. Carl Eubanks supposedly worked for B2B as a co-owner, and then later suddenly works directly for Spencer's, according to this documentation that was falsified and presented. Kevin Mahoney, Senior Vice President and General Counsel of Spencer's, vehemently denies that any of these people ever worked for Spencer's. He also says that Spencer's was not in deals to put any comic books in the stores, nor were they ever interested in doing so. This is the banner for my first presentation, in which I said that Varian was guilty of negligent misrepresentation, not fraud. But some other things have come to light since then. For example, The Dumping Ground, a show co-hosted by Vickyverse, talked about the fact that they had a discussion subsequent to my presentation with Randy Zimmerman, one of the creators who were swindled in this debacle. Now, Randy said he specifically placed these pallets in the Liberty Entertainment distribution warehouse in a very specific location, and that was in order for them to be able to walk around and tightly wrap the pallets of books in the green cellophane. When the books were returned, they were additionally wrapped in something that he feels was just saran wrap. None of the green wrapping had been damaged whatsoever, and the pallets were in exactly the same place he placed them. The books never moved. We had said during our discussions that no legitimate courier would ever touch those books without a bill of lading. Varian was unable to present any, even though he said that they were picked up, and I believe it's because they never were. They stayed in Varian's possession the entire time. Varian said he got Direct Express, his credit card company, to provide a phone number attached to the transaction when he said he paid B2B. Well, the phone number goes to a John F. Paulson, who, as you can see here, was at a funeral, his own. This person is deceased. That phone number does not go to John F. Paulson. Now, this was my original presentation, and as you can see, I've made some edits. Varian created a fake company, used a co-opted logo, and a fake phone number for B2B. The B2B that he showed by its name is a digital branch, digital service company. And B2B Consultancy Services is something else entirely. He just mashed these two together to make it sound like they were a legitimate company. Varian led the creators he contacted to believe he had inroads to Spencer's Gifts and other retail chains. Varian tricked the creators, people who he claimed to be friends with, into providing a total of 27,000 copies of their comic books. He claimed the courier service picked up the books, and as Randy will attest, he said he would do so in court. They've never moved. There was no bill of lading, and that was why. You can skip 5, 6, and 7 and go right down to number 8. Having never informed the other publishers of fake and intermediary, Varian gave none of them the opportunity to ascertain the deal was fake all along. There were red flags in so many places, but the publishers either didn't want to upset the apple cart in a potentially life-changing deal, or were shot down by Varian when they had questions. I'm saying it's a total scam. This is the transaction line on his credit card statement, and the company, Direct Express, will not or cannot tell us where that money actually went. Varian is not answering emails any longer, and I think it's because he's just kicking this can down the road, hoping that this will all blow over. Vicki Verse also said in the Dumping Ground show that she feels that this fraud was perpetrated just to give him clout. I can't disagree with that. Seeing the number of companies on here that he supposedly successfully worked with would give him more credibility. I'm telling all of those publishers that are on here, some that I haven't spoken to yet, that they shouldn't work with him. Another potential reason for this fraud is the fact that he could liquidate those 27,000 copies and make money at the various cons he attends. Whenever he was confronted about this lack of paperwork, about the deception, about the efforts that were made that got nowhere, he and his wife Krista would lash out, using expletives, putting people down, and making threats. Well, 5 reasons why toxic people play the victim. I think number 2 and 3 are in play here: to get your sympathy and to avoid taking responsibility. Now, Varian claims to have filed a police report. In Michigan, it's illegal to file a false police report, carrying with it serious charges of up to 4 years in prison and fines of up to $2,000. The fines and prison term get worse if you do it more than once. But in addition to that, he also claims to have filed a fraud report with the Federal Trade Commission. The Code of Federal Regulations, paragraph 18, subsection number 1001, goes through all of the reasons that if you file a false Federal Trade Commission fraud report, you can be imprisoned of not more than 8 years, depending on the severity. Well, if you've done both of those things, and in fact it's a falsification of business records, it carries jail time. So this is getting more and more serious as time goes on. This is the Federal Trade Commission fraud report he purports to have sent. What's interesting about this is the math doesn't add up on the report that he presented to them. He said he paid $75 to enroll his company in the database of B2B. He paid communication $300 fine, and he says he paid $3,744 to them for shipping and other fines. Well, combined, that's $4,119, as you can see here. But then he says the amount he paid was $4,055. So one wonders if the Federal Trade Commission is even going to take this seriously. In the original presentation, I posed the question, is this negligent misrepresentation or fraud? Negligent misrepresentation has its own definition. Fraud has its own. I'm not going to read them again. But in my estimation, based on all of the things that I've learned before my presentation last time and subsequent to it, I think B2B equals Varian, and Varian equals a fraud. Now, trust takes years to build, seconds to break, and forever to repair. Trust doesn't come with a refill. Once it's gone, you probably won't get it back. And if you do, it will never be the same, and that's a fact. Don't ever break someone's trust. Once you do, then nobody wants to do business with you. And I suggest that no one does do business with Liberty Entertainment Distribution or any company Varian Grant owns or operates. Because of this scam that was pulled, those creators that were involved, they put together a Indiegogo campaign called the Long Shots. They're hoping to recoup some of the cost of printing all of those books. It's a great deal, this Long Shots campaign. You get 9 books for just $25, 9 different comic books, some of which I've actually read, and they're really good. So there's the website, or the URL link to the Indiegogo launching, or the Indiegogo Long Shots campaign. Please give it a consideration. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe to the channel, and please press that bell for notifications for when the next video from Dojo-kun Comics drops.
Being an enormous comic book fan, a fan of superheroes, whether it be DC Comics, Marvel Comics, independent comics, it does pay me that I do have to acknowledge that the.
I thought that was one of you guys talking. I said,
this is Wes from Thinking Critical. You know,
what's up, Larry?
Brother, you started early.
Sorry.
I was napping, right? And I'm like, I turn on the screen and I'm like, oh, what's going on? And JD's live, and oh crap, I missed the show.
You forgot to change the clock from last week to today for the hour.
This is it. I'm like, uh-oh. You know, I didn't spring ahead. I fell backwards, man.
There you go. Anyway, so yeah, so you know that's the and the thing is that's the amended findings. There's the other video where it's the actual stuff. So that's just the amended part of it. So like I said, I'm offering all you guys one question each. We're gonna try to run through this, myself and Rosario, because we're the two involved. And then you know, we'll, like I said, we'll move back to our regularly scheduled program. So,
all right. So let me go first because I have to give full disclosure. My show is also on the Indie Network, which is run by Variant. I have to mention that at the top. And I also saw his rebuttal to this video before the video came out. So I had known things on his end. I saw like a live on Facebook, and then I saw this video. So just letting you know that's my information is, and that's how I am involved. But my show is just on his site. So with that being said, my question is simple. What were your individual losses, and is there any possibility of getting that back from either him or in any other way?
You want to go first?
Yeah, I'll start, and then you go, and then for the next question, you go, and then I'll go.
Okay.
Cool. All right, so listen. Mark, we love you anyway, so it's okay.
Okay.
All right. As far as my losses... All right, so there you go. I was speaking for myself, and maybe Carlos. That's about it. But my personal losses is probably about 7K, about 7,000. All right. I represented 3 books. I represented the Oswald Chronicles. I represented Tall Tales, and I represented the Well Keeper. Those are the 3 books that I represented. So basically, it's the printing cost, shipping costs, and that's pretty much it. We have possession, or we have control of the books, or at least we have someone that's helping us out with that, and we're very grateful for that. And right now we have an Indiegogo going on, like Dojo has said. Thank you so much, Dojo, for doing all that. You know, we're trying to recoup. That's all we can do. We're just trying to recoup. We got a bunch of books, and we're trying to sell them. So you know, lemon and lemonade and all that jazz. So, Mr. Rosario, what do you got?
Yeah, you said financial loss or personal loss?
I said I said losses. What are your losses, and can you recoup those losses?
Okay, so financial losses. Well, it's the amount of the offset printing, the amount of the rush fee that we had to pay to get the books delivered a certain amount of time, which I don't know why that was needed. Now, after all of this went through, days off of work that I took to go to certain events, such as our signing at a pop-up shop, a meeting at Spencer, where we all just hung out in the parking lot of Spencer's like fucking morons. Plain and simple. And then the biggest loss is the loss of integrity. You know, the connections that I built with people trying to develop properties to go into this further down the road, and assuring them that this, well, not assuring them, excuse me, pulling strings to get them to do work, promising them cash down the road for this, promising them legit money, that they were not getting anywhere else. And not just freelancers, marketing teams and stuff like that. So the credibility that I lost and that I'm trying to rebuild, there's no amount of money you could put on that right now.
Wow. Okay.
Jay got staff, bro. Jay got staff. Unlike most of us one-man bands. Scott, you got anything? Question?
Well, first of all, I did watch that video earlier today, and I hadn't been aware of all of the nuances and the specifics about it. I had suspected something had happened when I saw that there was a distinctive break from Randy broadcasting with Varian and a couple of weird videos that Varian had put out. So I suspected something was going on. Okay, that being said, I had not, I guess I count myself fortunate, I had not yet gotten involved in what was looking to me, like everybody else, a fairly lucrative situation. I was lined up to do some stuff after the ball got rolling, which was about that was about the only thing that could happen on my end, because I'm so involved in so many things. It just wasn't going to happen on the same timeline as everybody else in the start. I will say this: I had some reservations about the whole situation, if only because a couple of warning bells went off in my head about it. Because I thought, I like Varian. I really think I thought he was a great guy, and maybe he still is. I'm not sure, but I did kind of wonder when he was going to be starting a distribution company. I didn't hear about. Does he have drivers? Does he have trucks? I mean, how is he going to ship all these books out? And the idea that it was going to go to Spencer's and be the sole source of it, part of me kept thinking, I liked the idea that possibly Spencer was going to take a chance on all of us independent guys. But I thought to myself, a chain of stores that big, and they're not just simply carrying Marvel books or DC books. I mean, they're the proven track record stuff. And I thought I hate that phrase, sounding too good to be true. Because sometimes those situations do happen. But I had a few bills going off in my head that made me think, I wonder how in the world this got done. How did this get really, And so I didn't know for sure. And I asked Randy about it, and I had a few assurances here and there from different corners. But I'm still surprised that things went down the way they did. I'm very the only question I would have is, from that particular perspective, did anybody else have any signals, however slight or however small, did anything else go off in anybody else, early on that never really
besides sitting in the parking lot?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, go for it.
I didn't even know that happened. That's amazing to me.
Yeah.
So, that's the only question I would have is I knew and learned about everything that went on just this afternoon about it, and I didn't know much more before then. But I would be curious if anybody else had seen or reacted to something or some things that might have been occurring before this that made them think. So I'm just curious.
Yeah. Calderon and I had early on smelled, some bad fish. But I was the first one to be very vocal about it. And in our group meetings, I was lambasted for questioning that
oh, boy,
someone's integrity.
Yeah.
That's tough.
You know, behind the scenes, a couple of the guys reached out to me. And they're like, you know, Jay, slow down, relax. You know, let things bear fruit, I guess was the phrase, right? You don't want to cost anybody on your team money. Right? Not just our group, you know, but the crew that works with me, you know, the crew that has believed in the product that we have been putting out all these years. And that was always in the back of my mind. And that is the major factor that kept me through seeing this out. Because if this was something that was coming down, then, you know, I got no problem being the one laying on that bed of roses to make sure that the rest of the team gets paid, you know? Dude, the type of money we were looking at was fucking money. But then that was the bullshit that was into this. That's the bullshit that drew us in, was money.
It's the hook. The hook.
It grew from one point of single books at, you know, pretty much a gross income of about $3,000 per book to a point where after the supposed meeting at Spencer's, we were moving to 17,000 books a month, and I was going to have 2 titles up there. So you figure that out times what we're going to get paid out on a quarterly basis. That was approximately $150,000 gross every 3 months. And with that money, I was going to make sure that the team was taken care of and had the money to invest in a solid infrastructure. That's why we had a marketing team ready. That's why we had a branding team ready. That's why we had an accounting team ready. The only thing we didn't have from the beginning, because I am a jabroni, was a fucking legal team.
You had a what? You're a what?
Jabroni.
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 A wrestling term.
It's a journeyman boxer, pretty much.
Okay.
Who makes their opponents look really good. But you know, and that should have been the first step, was securing that. You know, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. I was actually the first one to sniff it out.
Yeah.
And I literally had almost like a fucking psychic break at a convention, right? And I remember I called Jay. I was like, bro, listen to this. And he was just like, talk to Randy. And I explained what I had seen to Randy. Basically what it was I was asking for certain pieces of information. The key thing for me was Spencer's had to pick up from the printer. That was always my thing. Spencer's had to pick up from the printer. Varian would tell us they can't pick up from the printer because they need a representative of the company to sign for it. And I'm like, dude, the printer is your representative. That's how business is done in this country, right? If we had gotten the books printed in China, the freight forwarding company would have been your representative at the docks as the truck is picking up. This is how business is done on the entire damn planet. So, but what had happened was the books had actually gotten shipped. He was like, no, they're not going to do it. So they have to be shipped to his warehouse, costing us extra money. And then they would pick it up. And allegedly he had a video of them picking it up. Never got to see the video. We actually this video. It's been 9 months. We haven't seen this damn video. Okay. You know, it's one of these things, and the problem is, you know, the books were already printed. So at that point, it was like, what am I gonna do now? There was another opponent, or we were supposed to print the second month's books, and I just put a kibosh on it because I was in charge of all the. I was just like, I'm not printing a damn thing. I'm not sending anything to the printers until we get proof that Spencer's has the books and we're going to get our money for this first batch of books. He made all kinds of assurances. None of it ever came through, but you know, that's a whole nother portion. Brian, what do you got?
Okay. First of all, quick disclaimer. I always try to stay away from drama, right? This is, like
gotcha. Brian,
drama happens. right?
So do I, dude.
Yeah, unfortunately, you get caught up. You got caught up in shit, right? And shit does happen, right?
The embarrassment is greater than the financial loss and the loss of credibility. I feel.
And feeling like you left, and the worst of all, feeling like you let your friends down.
Oh, 100%, 100%.
That's there's like no worse feeling in the world. My question is I don't understand where the scam is. Like, I don't understand how was Varian, if he was scamming everybody, what was the scam?
You mean the end goal?
Yes, yeah. Like exactly. Yeah, like where's the payoff? What was he supposed to get out of this? Now, mind you, once again, like, I stay as ignorant as possible about drama. So if there's stuff that y'all know that most people know. Now, this is something I've heard about it, because you can't be in this scene and not have heard about it.
Sure.
But I'm wondering, and I always try to play devil's advocate, and I'm like, just trying to see things from Varian's point of view, like where's the scam? Like what was he?
You want to go? Because I got a lot for this.
Okay. All right, I'll go first, and then you can pop up.
All right.
So basically, the thing, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
We've been discussing this between us, the publishers, ad nauseum for 9 months. We've been going over it. We've gone over it. We don't know how many times.
Yeah.
The only thing we can figure is that he did it for clout. He did it so that he could build his distribution company, Liberty Distribution, on our backs. Now, the thing is, and I had explained this to the group, and I said, listen, he had our books from August all the way up to December, or to the end of December, or close to January.
Right.
If he had gone to like 4 or 5 conventions. I'm not sure which one is of those two it is. But during those 4 conventions or 5 conventions, he only sold about $300 worth of product on those 9 titles. Now, I went to a show during that period, and I sold $300 worth of those books. Anthony sold something like $1,500 worth of stuff at those. You understand? I mean, The thing is if he was an active seller, right? Someone who's really pushing at a show, even if it's slow, and he came back to each of us and said, listen, I sold $100 of this book, $200 of this book. You understand? We might have been able to forgive this, because then we would say, okay, he's pushing. He was also supposed to be selling to retailers. He went out to a number of retailers unsuccessfully. He was not able to sell any of these books.
Right.
Again, if he had gone out and been an active seller, there are lists out there of independent stores that he can contact and sell. Peter Stemetti does it. There's a lot of other publishers. Marvin Wynn, great guy. He has a list that he happily gives out to people, that stores he sold books to personally and continuously sells books to.
Right.
Okay. If he had gone out and said, listen, I sold 10 there, 10, here's a few $100 here, here's a few $100 here, we wouldn't be having this conversation now. Yeah. You understand? Because he would have been an active seller.
He would have been moving product.
Exactly.
Right. That's the bottom line. You got to move product.
Exactly. But he didn't do that, though. Right. Now, as to why he didn't do that, I don't know. But I do know when he was at those conventions, he was showing off pictures of him with some chick that he wanted to hook up with. Not our books, but some chick he wanted to hook up with his wife. You understand? Those are facts.
I love women, but there's a dividing line between the business and person.
That's not the kind of product you should be moving.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So let's the easiest thing to look at, right?
Yeah.
In the video he brought up liquidation. Even if he sold each one of those books at $1 a pop, that's $27,000 that he put zero money up for.
Right.
Okay. Even if he takes 10% of that and uses as freebies or giveaways to whatever school drives and reading trucks or whatever pro bono nice movement he wanted to donate those books to, right? He could still 10%. He could still donate 2,700 books to any one of these different charities. Look like a gem in their eyes, right? and develop more of a stance, more of a clout, and still sell the other books and still come. Even if he sold it at 50 cents a pop,
Right.
So 13 and a half.
He's making $13,000, man.
Wow.
Of nothing that he put up for.
Wow.
Right.
Can I go next?
Well, it was Mr. Deandre's turn, Carlos. Let Deandre go. Then you're next. I just don't want to skip anybody over.
I probably won't be long. I'm not much of a talker most of the time. But first off, man, just allow me to commiserate. I mean, a lot of us, of course, in the indie scene know Varian and have been on Indie Vault and associated with it. Some of us were friends of his. And when anyone, especially people that you have come to know over the course of years, betray your trust, your good faith, that's as good as somebody coming in your house and just stealing money straight out of you. It's bad.
That is right.
So yeah, it's a nightmare for anybody who is an indie creator, because it's the type of stuff that keeps you up at night. One of the sort of things you fear, worst fear for a lot of indie creators, made true. So it's when I was watching it earlier, I was really disheartened to see he was involved with that, and whatever the case may be. So yeah, just off top, that blows. Second is, I don't really guess I have a question. We're pretty detailed. You guys have done a great job of laying everything out, and what went wrong and some of the steps among it. I guess I just got to say, it's like it's tough, especially being a new person, and I'm trying to build a reputation for myself and my company, and conducting myself with the utmost integrity with everybody that I talk to, every creator I do business with. Having 0 people last year,
and you know how much
14
work that
creators, and yeah, it's a lot of work. I lose a lot of sleep doing all this and trying to do it and be as transparent with everyone.
Because your reputation is everything.
Yes, it's
everything.
Yeah. And I just have to ask, like, if it's worth it. I can't imagine it could possibly be, and how damaging something like this can be, like, on the indie community. We're not large. A lot of indie creators know each other. It's, lots of people, but it's all very tight knit, and a lot of association and everything like that. And so words go to get around. It's not something you can hide or
and if I could just add something, Deandre, is it Deandre?
Deandre, okay. You just call me Marcus. Most people just call me Marcus.
Okay. Well, the thing is, Marcus, is that there is an intrinsic value automatically attached to somebody who wants to build that kind of trust. It's not only the trust itself you're going to build, but the fact that you, as an individual or a group of individuals or what have you, that you want to build that kind of trust, because that means you understand that kind of value. And that's not something a lot of people are willing to do.
True.
So that alone right there really puts you kind of in a rarefied area, in a rarefied level. And to have those efforts undermined or tripped up, it's just frustration of the highest order. You can't,
especially because I've been trying to do more with other creators. Not necessarily just developing things within Odyssey, but getting more in distribution. I'll go, it's like, hey man, I like your book. I want to show it off at cons.
Exactly.
How can I get it? And people tell me, oh, I can see in books. I'm like, tell me how much money you want and how much they are. I will give you the money. You give me the books. And maybe we get contracts and all that stuff done. But if it's just straight retail, me buying from you and selling them, it's like the easiest possible. Whatever it can be.
Our community is very supportive of each other, right?
Yes.
I don't know how many times Carlos and I have gone back and forth exchanging information, and it's great to have that network, right? And it takes time to build that network, right? Carlos is not going to give me the whole go with the very first question that I've asked him, but over time we've built such a rapport with each other that we trust each other, right? So to have that with other people and to fucking have that lost, that's the fucking frustrating thing, bro. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I hate to say this. I hate to admit this, but I have to. I work with a chip on my shoulder. I always do, right? And
no.
Really? I had no idea.
None of us cued in.
Marcus see me work in person. You know, and for me to try to remain as reserved as I am throughout this whole debacle, it is going against my very nature. You know what I mean? And that's doubly frustrating.
Yeah. So all I can say, and I'll kick it off from here and let whoever go next, is when this happens and I'm approaching other creators or publishers, now it's like I'm going to have people looking at me like, you know, sideways because stuff like this gets around and things like that. So the amount of damage that it does to the independent scene is just
collateral damage.
And it chases away customers. You know what I mean? Like whenever there's any infighting or civil wars and that sort of thing, there are a lot of our customers that just go, you know what? I'm out of here.
100%.
Because people, not to say that there are people that like drama and negative vibes, and there's shit stirrers out there, Lord knows, right?
Yeah.
But what like the core of our support comes from people who are passionate about indie comics and just love that spirit that we have, where we don't see each other as like competition to be taken out, where we're all about helping each other and uplifting each other.
It makes it stronger all the way around. And Marcus, when everybody else has a turn, remind me I got a good piece of advice for you about dealing with that type of, you know, hesitancy. Now, well, but I'll let everybody else take their turn next. But after that, remind me, I got something to say about that.
We'll do Scott.
Carlos, you're up, bro. You're up, brother.
The reason I had asked to go is because I had kind of like an outside skin in the game. Because a year ago, when I made my first appearance on this show, Variant was the co-host.
Right.
And ironically, that show, we did the whole what Liberty was about. So the pitch was made on that show. And of course, I talked to Varian afterwards about it. And I think some divine intervention kept me out of it directly, in that right before Variant did his pitch, I got a pitch from a distributor on the West Coast that was getting their stuff in pot shops.
Nice.
And so but then he was talking about the offset. We got talking about what they needed from me on my end. And at the time, I had American Revere and I had my one other title, and they were the money. I just was not ready to make that leap at that time. So, because they were wanting offset numbers when I've been used to, at this point in time, Kickstarter and print on demand numbers, which are completely different. Those are two different worlds.
Offset is a huge investment.
Huge investment.
Yeah.
Huge. And the numbers he was asking so that he could actually, so that we could make money, was just more than I was willing to be able to take on at that time. And then Variant came in right after that. And so it was just like, I'm just not ready to commit at this time to those types of numbers, which again, thank goodness that I got that talk with that other distributor, because I more than likely would have coughed up the money that would have been lost. And then my wife would have killed me. So I wouldn't even be playing to you guys. I'd be dead.
You're to be applauded, though, Carlos. You're to be applauded for your willingness to say, I'm not ready for that. You know, too often a lot of us get caught up in the numbers, and we just don't want to turn it away. But if you know yourself well enough, you're willing to say no, not right now.
Yeah, it was a great deal, but it just, I could not bring myself to put in that kind of money at the time. Now, if this would have happened maybe 4 months earlier, I would have been all in, because I had the money at that time.
Yeah.
But,
so basically, points for being poor. Hooray!
Yeah, exactly.
It's not that. It's Carlos is being smart because he's trying to operate within his budget, right? And at the time it was presented to me, it was within my budget, and I was able to swing that.
Yeah.
But when the you know, when the red flag started going off, you're like, you play the part of the, oh, well, I don't got the money right now. Oh, well, my wife doesn't think it's the best thing to do right now, because you're trying to stall until you see some sort of credibility, so you can go all in for the rest of it. But you brought up collateral damage. I mean, we brought up collateral damage a second ago, and the majority of us have spouses, right? I think all of us are married in that team, and it's like, you know, the amount of stress that puts on the relationship at home. Just something as simple as, you know, your wife saying, I don't want to say I told you so, right? And not using those words, but see, Calderon knows what's up. He knows what's up, you know? And it's like, there's a reason I married you, and it's to protect me from myself.
And
right?
sometimes it's not even that. Sometimes it's about the fact that your wife is really into education, because you'll hear her say to you, you know, I'm going to teach you a lesson.
Oh, fuck yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, Jose brings this up. Calderon brings this up all the time, because he sees this look on my face, and he goes, stop doing convention math. And you guys, there you go. There you go. I don't need to explain it, right? You know, convention math.
Yeah, man.
And I try to use convention math to defend my stance in a debate with my wife. Man, that doesn't fly. That just makes me look even stupider in her eyes.
Oh God. Oh, ow.
I mean, to add on to what Jay was saying, to just illustrate what the deal was initially, right? The way it was presented to me, the initial deal, the original deal, 9 books going into 60 stores in Spencer's Gifts as a test market. Okay, there would be 2,000 books purchased, guaranteed sale, meaning no returns, guaranteed sold. We would get $1.75 per book, and a variant would get a quarter of that. We would get as the publishers, we get $1.50 per book. So we'd make $3,000 per issue,
gross, that
we put out, right? And we would have an extra 1,000 books that we either take upon ourselves and sell ourselves, or we were going to leave them with Variant and he could sell them through his distribution company, whichever one, right?
Because 1,000 books is only another $150.
Exactly. So when I came in, they asked me to take care of the printing. So I made sure to we all gang printed at the same time. So those books.
He asked you to move to Michigan.
They did ask me to move to Michigan. Yeah, and mind you, I live in New York City, and I'm like, look, I don't want to diss Michigan, but I live in New York City.
Yeah, I live in Michigan, and I wouldn't suggest that.
Real property and that sort of thing. So, you know, we're comfortable here. So we were like, nah, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But that was the initial deal. And here's the thing that we don't talk a lot about, and that the real carrot, was if we got to year 2, and everything went well for those 12 months, and we could see scale, and they were selling through these 60 stores as a test market, then it would go national into 600 stores. Those numbers would go up exponential, 10 times. So then we're looking at 20,000 books.
After the 600 stores, we found out there was an East Coast and a West Coast president to the company.
Oh, yeah. What? But no, that came a little bit further down.
The East Coast president was buying the books. Yet at the outset of all of this, I was supposed to fly out to California to do the West Coast launch, and I'm like, okay.
So we have one guy moving to California, one guy moving to Michigan. It's great.
Just for that West Coast launch, just for that weekend.
Oh, okay.
Listen,
maybe he was just trying to solve the housing crisis, like one time. I don't know.
Could be. But I'm just saying, when we initially heard the deal, it sounds like a good, plausible deal. These guys are going to take a risk for 1 year, right? On just 9 books, 2,000 of each. I think their total cost came out to like $240,000 in a year. All right. I work in a big box store. I can tell you right now, we have something what we call shrink, right? I don't know if any of you work retail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, shrink. Our shrink is about 0.8% of our total. we're rated to shrink. I think it was about $120,000 a year.
I'm sorry, could you just explain what that term means, shrink?
All right, what it is basically when you walk into a retail store, right, and someone steals something, right, that's shrink.
Okay? Oh, okay, gotcha.
When an item is stolen or destroyed, I mean, sometimes you get
any type of losses for the business.
Just to elaborate from the vendor's end, shrink is accounted 10% of your overall product, and that 10% is where you account for your 2-for-1 deals, your free promo giveaways, not just the damaged product, right? So as a vendor, when you look at shrink, right, you total up, you just take 10% off the top, right? And you deal with your numbers based off the other 90%.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
So now coming from this retail environment, our shrink is 120,000. This is the way I'm viewing it. This is 0.8 for us, like a $10 million store or something. So I'm looking at a business that's making $500 million a year. This percentage, when you spread it out over 60 stores, is only a couple $1,000. It's like maybe like a couple $100 a month for each store. So that's spread out. So it sounds like a very reasonable idea, you know, because of course we're just smart enough to be stupid enough to justify it.
Right. Yeah. And creative people are not the best business people.
No. And that's where Jose and I were gelling in this, is because we both came from that retail environment, right? Not just as management, but also in logistics and also as a vendor. So I understood all three aspects of this deal, and when those numbers weren't vibing, he and I were just putting our heads together, and we're like, no, that's not how that stuff usually breaks down.
Yeah,
right. That's not how that works.
And those are good instincts too, because I mean, my day job is this is all I do for a living. Is supply chain plan. I've dealt with every big box retailer in the world. If there's anything that's to be done with distribution and everything, I'm completely in on it. So off top, I agree with JD. Like what he was saying, it's basically how things are do. You know, Bed Bath Beyond comes to me. They want some of my company's products, and they're willing to do test orders. And it's pretty much the exact way the chain goes down.
We were also told that if the books don't sell at the first retail location, they were going to offset that to a discount place like the Dollar Generals or the Five Belows and stuff like that, right? And we're like, okay, so they're not going to lose. They're going to recoup their money, maybe make a few pennies on the dollar afterwards. And it was originally going to be, in our eyes, a win-win, no risk, and then it just emaciated into.
It's understandable because the parameters that were laid out did sound good. I mean,
I got my question though.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, Larry's next. It's Larry. Thank you for being so patient. What you got, brother?
No worries. But I mean, this is pretty elaborate, right? Like when you listen to all the videos that are out there, and JD, you were on the show the other day, and we plugged a little bit about it. But I mean, when you watch, the findings from the fraud expert, when you listen to Varian, when you even watch like Dean and Vicky sort of roll through the evidence, you know what I mean? It's pretty elaborate. I mean, you guys traveled to New York, you hung around in a parking lot. What did he think was going to happen? So I mean, like, why have you guys do that for 3,000 books each? Is like blows my mind. Like, because someone stole my question. Actually, it was a really good one. Was what was the gain for Variant? I mean, it has to be more than just I'm going to have some books to move out of convention that I can't really move because I suck. So there's a missing link somewhere, right? So could the missing link be that Varian was actually taken for a ride by someone else, and we just don't know who that person is?
That's what I would.
No, I think it snowballed for him. I think he had that original concept of those 3,000 books. Thought that if he couldn't sell it to Spencer's, he would have been able to go someplace else, because Spencer's was not the only name that was floated around. There was some gaming company that had little kiosks in Walmart. I forgot who that was. I forgot the name of that company. Books and
Esports?
Right,
Esports Arena was.
You gotta look at he made this fake company, the B2B fake representatives, fake names. Like it all sounds like pretty elaborate stuff just for a handful of books, man. You know what I mean?
Right.
I agree, but here's the thing. Like I said, we've gone over this. Like I said, as the publishers, right? We've gone over this. Like I said, ad nauseum. We've been through this over and over. Going like, yeah, why would he do something like that? Why would he do that? You understand? And the only thing I could ever come up with, realistically, is he did it because he got off on it.
It did nothing but hurt him, right? I mean, he had to know it wasn't going to be a happy ending from the point it started, right?
Well, the thing is, it's hurting him now. I'm pretty sure in his mind, he felt he could sucker us for another year. We just nipped it in the bud. Because here's the thing. We got the books, right? We got the books delivered in August. We were supposed to get a check in September, right? And then that check never materialized. And what happened was we just shut up.
45-day payout in his eyes.
Right. We were supposed to, we shut up because we wanted to see if we were going to get that money. We never got the money. So we're like, okay. Then he said, okay, it's going to be another 45 days because of COVID, and they changed their pay structure. Okay, fine.
120-day payout.
Right. So they were supposed to deliver the money in December, early December, like December 3rd. So we were like, okay.
Shift.
Right.
And we asked for tracking.
Yeah, we never got that money. So at that point, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Like I messed up my scheduling. I'm due on another stream.
Oh, like, boo!
What could possibly be?
So my apologies, but this has been fun. And this
before you head out, just throw out your promotion real quick, Brian.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Everybody, Six Gun Gorilla: Long Days of Vengeance. We are on issue number 8. You can get the new issue, which is Six Gun Gorilla number 8, Cemetery Without Crosses. It's on Indiegogo right now. We have 2 different covers. We have one by the original artist, Adrian Sipar. That's the last piece of Six Gun Gorilla art that he produced before he passed away. Missing to bits. He was such a great guy and such a wonderful collaborator. And every time I look at this, it makes me feel good because it's such a jolly, happy, joyous kind of a piece for a book that's not always that jolly.
Wow.
And this is the variant cover by Preston Acevedo, and it is a parody of the Iron Maiden "Stranger in a Strange Land."
Nice.
Oh wow,
that's a beautiful piece.
Isn't that amazing? That's acrylics on canvas.
That's awesome.
So you can get either one of these. You can get them both for a discounted price, and also, naturally, I put the previous issues on there all as well, so you can get you can get the issues separately, a la carte, or you can get them all together for a discounted price. You can get all 8 issues for about $100 signed.
And how long is the campaign going on for?
I'm probably going to close it in like maybe 3 weeks.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. But
congratulations also on making the coolest title. Six Gun Gorilla is just awesome. That is such a great title. That is
right. Thank you, sir, and thank you, JD. Thank you, everybody. But yeah, I unfortunately got to peace out.
Be well, Ryan.
Go.
Thanks, Ryan.
I'm just trying to figure out all the choices.
As Ringo says,
good.
As Ringo says, peace and love, peace and love. Take care.
Take care, bro. Yeah. All right, and just to let everybody know, that's a great book. I read that book, and it's really a lot of fun.
Nice,
awesome.
Just let everybody go.
Awesome. Check it out.
Yep. So Larry, I mean, I don't know if I've answered, but I'm serious, man. I mean, we've been over it over and over again, and like the only thing I could think of is that he got off on it on some level. That he got these men who are at varying levels within this industry or fairly respected. You understand? To do his bidding.
Yeah, it's just so dumb. I mean, you talk about a guy who was running a radio station, trying to build something, right? He was getting some footwork, becoming known. Indie Vault was starting to become a real thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. He had this great partnership with Randy Zimmerman. They were bosom buddies. Batman and Robin, as far as I'm concerned. You know what I mean? And then and then all the trust that he had with you folks. And then to throw that all away so he can get some books in his warehouse to sell at cons? There could have
Not
been
even
an
a
easier
warehouse.
way
That
to
was a
do that,
storage-
you know?
So Chris, I'm gonna throw this out, just an outside observer. Maybe it seemed like a good idea at the time. That's the best I can come up with.
Okay.
It seemed like a good idea at the time for him, for whatever reason, whatever his reasons were behind it. It seemed like a good idea, and it obviously fell flat in his face, and then it hurt everybody else involved.
But if I jumping on what both of you guys are bringing up, all of us involved in this, we're not fucking assholes, right? Had he just come out at any point and said, "Listen, I fucked up. This got out of hand."
Talk about yourself.
You know, this is too much. It's not going to work there. But do you mind if we try a different route? I mean, all of us would have been okay with that. You know, none of us would have said, "No, you can't do that," right? As long as he found another way to offload those books, we all would have been good with this. Man.
Yeah. Let me offer a little bit of another perspective. I've had situations in the past where I was completely bamboozled by somebody who I called a very close friend. And the thing is that it was one of those situations where it wasn't even a matter of having good intentions, but the idea that an opportunity looked like it was brewing, and Varian might very well have kind of thought, well, I can do this. I can make this happen. All it takes is my determination and my will to do it.
Understandable.
All this. And he walked into it hip deep, and before he knew it, he couldn't touch the bottom anymore, and he was floundering. And yet, when that happens, it's a very, very human thing to say, I've got to salvage this. If I can just make it a little bit further, then I'll reach the other shore and I'll make it all happen and it'll be okay.
Yeah. But here's the thing, Scott. Scott. He never once came to us and said, guys, I'm sorry, I fucked up.
Oh, I know. That
he
was
never
part
once.
Of, that could very well have been him trying to still salvage it, not trying,
right. But the thing is,
willing to admit that he had gotten in too far.
Right. If he would have come to us and said, look, guys, I screwed up. I'm sorry. You understand? We wouldn't be here today having this conversation.
This is something that we've talked about. As a matter of fact, on Indie Comics Explained, communication is the key.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes. All right. I want to move on for this.
Absolutely.
Let me ask the first question of the night, please.
Go for it.
I'm ready. All right. You're about to sign a multi-million-dollar deal, folks. Okay. What do you wear to the signing?
Hold on. Larry. No, wait. Hold on. Larry first. Larry goes first.
My best Spencer jeans and jacket.
Oh, that's salt in the wound.
Touche. Carlos.
No, I mean, if you're actually looking for a real answer, like, you know, someone.
Yeah.
I'm going to wear my brand new Niobe jean jacket that I made with my beautiful patch and going to get some more
branding. You're branding. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to walk in like the way I would picture Brian Pulido walking in, you know, not in a suit and tie, just wearing the gear and boom, I'm here, you know.
I can 100% stand by that answer. Yes, because you're branding your product.
Nice.
Who's
Carlos,
next?
you got?
I'm going to do the same thing because I don't do the suit and tie thing.
Okay.
My wife's constantly bugging me about it, but I just don't like doing it. And so I'm going to come in with whatever brand I'm trying to push. I'm going to come in with my lawyers first because you definitely want an entertainment lawyer for that kind of a deal. And then I'll let them wear the suit and tie, and I'll come in with my whatever it is and my dad shorts. And that's how I'm going to roll.
Okay.
All right. Deandre, what do you got?
They're gonna have to take me as I am. You know, I can swag it up if I need to, but man, I spent 2 years as a manager of Banana Republic. I don't want to see another sport coat again in my life. So if I got clothes on at all walking into the meeting, but no, on a serious note. I mean, I live in LA too, so it's just
okay.
We all just do what we do out here, and it's all cool, man.
Scott, what do you got?
If it was the kind of multi-million-dollar deal that I really, really want, I'm walking in with just one single silk pouch hanging low with a zipper on it. That's all I gotta wear. Because after all, who doesn't want to make a deal for this goodness? I mean, come on. I mean, oh.
It's hard bargain.
Nice. Mark, what do you got?
To make the deal, suit and tie. To sign the deal, branded merchandise.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. All right,
okay.
Cool. For myself,
That's
I'd show
terribly serious. I don't understand that.
I know I'd show up in a suit and tie in a presentation, but that's about it. So
actually, I would probably send Susie to sign it. I don't think you'd want me in that room. It just that'd be the better.
Not what they're just about anyway.
No.
What about you, Jay? What would you wear?
Oh no. I clean up very nicely. So I'm definitely...
That is true.
I've heard that before.
I didn't see him with the tie. I saw him with the suit jacket and the shirt. He did look very good.
Yeah.
He did.
Man.
Yeah, I know. If I wasn't there to see it, I wouldn't have believed me either. All right. Mr. Mark, why don't you ask the next question, sir?
Let's go with a simple one here.
All right.
What is more important for independent creators? To sell the book or for people to read the book? If you can only pick one, what would you choose?
Carlos, you're up.
Sell. We're here to make money. Once it makes money, then you can work on getting people to read it. So I don't care if someone takes it, buys it, and slabs it. They just bought it off of me. So I just made money to be able to move on to the next comic. Because I kind of mentioned this in a thread that someone else brought up, very similar on Facebook, and that was my thing is we're here to make money. And we're here to make money so that we can move on to the next project. Otherwise, hey, if you want to live off the one book you get, that's great, beautiful for you. It's a vanity project at that point. And to me, at least in my opinion, it's not a commercial project. And I'm working on my books to make them commercially successful. And again, so that I can move on to the next and the next and the next. Otherwise, I'm stuck with the one. And again, if it's a vanity project, beautiful. That works for whomever, but it doesn't work for me. I've never been satisfied with just one title. And I'm very disappointed with the performance of American Revere. I went in with it with very high expectations, and it didn't work. So I'm redoing. I'm going back to the well, and I'm going to redo that issue number 1 with different art and a different story to see if it can gain some traction where this last one did not.
Okay.
Cool. Deandre, what do you got?
I would ask who's the person buying and who's the person reading. Because, it's one thing for someone to buy a book and for me to make a little bit of money. And it's another thing to have someone who can read it and appreciate it and enjoy it, especially if they may be in a position to do something otherwise. So I would love to sell a book. That's great. I'll have somebody read a book, but I would rather say have one person at Random House or Macmillan or something like that read that book than have 100 people buy it. Just because of the potential that it can do. So I think it varies depending on the situation. Ideally, as a business owner and a publisher, I want people to buy books. Of course, naturally, and kind of, like what he said, if you buy it and you never pick it up, and sometimes people can't get to things. I actually just cleaned off my shelf because I have all these indie comic books and the conventions and Kickstarters and everything like that. Like I haven't gotten around to reading like 90% of these. I'm trying to do it. I still got Oswald Chronicles on my reading list too. I still got to get around to that.
I look forward to that. I think Oswald Chronicles look awesome.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I sat there just looking at the book and the art and the stickers and everything. Like, we're gorgeous. So just enjoying it for that long.
Phenomenal.
But yeah, so that's what it would come down to. I would rather have the right person read it than the wrong person buy it. And that's what it would come down to.
That's nice. I like that.
Yeah. Scott, what do you got?
Repeat the question again, Mark.
As an independent creator, if you had to pick one, would you prefer someone to buy your book and not read it, or read the book and not buy it? I'm saying, what's more important to you?
Oh, okay.
So, for example, like Marcus said, if Steven Spielberg came along and said, "I want to read your book. Here's a free copy," as opposed to Steven Spielberg coming along, "I'm going to buy your entire inventory, and no one's going to read. We're going to chuck it. We're going to send in Elon Musk and a little rocket ship, send it to outer space. Let the aliens take care of it." What's the choice?
Okay, for a second, I have to admit, I thought for a second you said, is it more important to produce your work or to sell your work? I thought that was the choice.
No.
Well, you're talking about, would I be more interested in having somebody buy the book or read the book?
Correct. Buy or read.
All right. That's still a little bit of a chicken and the egg question, but I would say I think read the book, if only because it's through that the viability of it being sellable or somebody willing to buy it is determined. I mean, I certainly think anything I produce would be worth buying, but if people are just going to buy it, but really not read it and appreciate it, that really doesn't benefit me any more than the immediate. So to have them read it, and then I'll determine whether or not it's that thing, that them reading it is what's going to determine if it's going to be able to keep being sold down the road.
Tell that to the person who does Cowboys and Aliens.
Yeah, in all reality, they really have to happen simultaneously. But if I had to have one choice over there, I say I really would want people to read it first.
All right, I'm all ready for the meeting, guys.
All right.
Nice.
Let's go.
What was that shirt you held up?
That was his branded jacket.
That's his character, man. Niobe.
Oh, I couldn't see it clearly. Okay. Let's
Hold on. I'll put him on.
I'm boomerang, JD. I was on mute. I use the same guys that Brian Polito uses for his custom patches.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Very cool.
That is amazing art.
Brian used that, you said?
Brian uses a company called Scream for Me that makes all the patches for his jean jacket that he wears to cons.
Oh, wow.
I'm doing the same thing.
Very cool.
That's awesome, bro.
He's a great model to.
I copy him all the time.
It's homage. You don't copy, you homage.
Homage.
And thank you for having your jeans zipped up when you stood in front of the camera. That was very thoughtful.
Yeah, that was a hit or miss. That could have went either way.
That was really. He's going to stand up. Oh my God.
I mean, I literally just ran into the shower for 5 minutes, so I can at least appear on camera. You know?
Don't really need to know that.
It was more like you should thank him just for having on pants, because we don't know.
Jay doesn't break the fourth wall like
that. Right, you don't want me to stand up. I'm just saying it right now. The lights and everybody's camera is going to go out if I stand up.
That's right. And I
can't look.
And I don't even want to think of what Mark is wearing. I mean, he keeps his blind out for certain.
Well, Argo Comics in your chat says he would wear a sleeveless tuxedo for his multi-million-dollar meeting.
There you
go. That is Dan.
Hey, guys, I haven't been ignoring. I haven't been ignoring.
Dan used to be a competitive bodybuilder. So
yeah. So he could wear it and pull it off.
He can get away with that. Come out there like Ultimate Warrior.
Serious.
So, Mr. JD, what is it? Read or buy?
No. Larry's first.
Larry, what was the question? I literally just got back here.
Go ahead, Mark. Hit him with the question.
As an independent creator, is it more important that people read your book or that you sell the book? Read or buy? What's the more important one? If you only could pick one.
Buy. You're not going to be able to read it unless if you buy it.
Well, see, that's not necessarily true, and this is why I brought up the question. In honor of the Oscars, which is happening right now, there are ways to watch a movie that you do not pay for.
Sure.
And as the creator of said movie, is it more important?
So you asked me, have a creator, would I rather people buy my stuff or pirate it?
No, I'm saying to read it, to have your story be read, or to have your story be purchased and never read.
Oh, I don't care as long as they buy it.
Okay.
You ever watch the NWO movie, right? And there's a scene, we're in the bus and they see a bunch of like Tipper Gore parents rolling over the NWO CDs with the
NWA.
NWA CDs with the pave roller, and they go, "Look what they're doing to our music." And Eazy-E's like, "I don't care. They bought the shit."
There you go. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that so much of that though is wrapped up in what kind of a quantity are you talking things being bought? If they're bought in such a quantity that you benefit in innumerable ways from that kind of buying, then that has a power all in itself.
Right.
But if you want to create a situation of one action over the other in one instance, it doesn't become quite as clear.
Look, I'm gonna lay it down for you guys. We do a lot of variant covers, right? With some very sexy images, from people like that jacket you just saw with Paul Green, or an RB White, or Keith Garvey from Zenoscope, and I can keep dropping names, okay? The fact is that a lot of people that come to our campaign to buy our books probably never do read the book. They probably buy it because they are a cover collector, right? Oh, we've had guys that come in that will only back when we offer the Paul Green cover because they're big Paul Green guys. They want to have everything he owns, especially when it's very rare, right? When they go, oh, this little indie campaign is only offering 200 copies of my favorite artist's book. Well, I got to have that just for my stature as, a big Paul Green fan. It'd be like buying like a 1 out of 1,000, comic from J. Scott Campbell and claiming, on his fan group that you're the only one that's got it. You know what I mean? And the other thing that, people will buy our book for is to have them graded, okay, and flipped on eBay. I'll tell you something, man. I'm going to show you an example. This book here, Raw, was sold on eBay 3 times by different people for $150, and not even in the graded case. You know what I mean? Just Raw. It cost me $3 to print it. Sold it for $20. They were flipping it for $150.
Nice.
This is why people buy some of our books. Did they read it? I don't know. If they did and they liked it, then that's a bonus. But the fact that they bought it is good enough for me. You know what I mean?
Yep.
People buy comics for a variety of reasons, whether it's to flip them, to grade them, to have them on display. Maybe they just really like the art. Maybe they do like the story. But I mean, if you're buying just for the story, then go buy Cover A because that's our cheapest entry point, or buy digital and read it. But collectors buy comics to collect for investment.
True. But at the very end of your statement, it demands that you have to follow up with the statement that how much benefit do you get out of that pure sale? Is it great enough to allow you to keep creating without worrying about sales?
It got me published with Antarctic Press and in comic book shops.
Well, no, that's still not an answer because
that is an answer. The answer is that we did our highest Kickstarter ever at $24,000 when we used to do $4,000 Kickstarters. Okay. When we did that, we got put on the map. When we did that, we got noticed.
All right. Now,
it opened up all kinds of doors.
Excellent. Now, does that mean you get the results from those sales that allows you?
The result is the money in my bank account, sir.
I know. Let me finish my question. Does that mean then that those resulting sales allows you a freedom or an independence from having to worry about sales?
Of course, because now the book pays for itself, right? I don't have to worry and struggle and pay out a credit card debt, to make my book. Niobe's a self-sufficient business now. Nothing's coming out of my pocket anymore. It's giving me green. I got green check marks now. Plain and simple. It's not. We're not Brian Polito. We're not Van Sciver. We're not rolling in millions and millions of dollars in dough. But for once, I can say, "Geez, I made the comic. We're not in debt. Geez, we made the comic, and now I'm getting royalty checks from a publishing company, and I didn't have to, wait around in a parking lot to do it. You know what I mean?
And that's awesome to hear. But I would be concerned about if you have ongoing plans into the future to sustain that.
Of course, the same business model is going to last for as long as I'm doing it.
Are you
We're
sure?
going to put out some good comics with good story. If they read them, bonus. But we're going to put out the hottest covers and the best art that we possibly can. We're Bad Girl Comics. What you read in the 90s, Witchblade, Evangeline, Darkchild.
Are you considerably assured that you have foreseen a fair amount of stumbling blocks that could happen in the future?
I've been doing this for 8 years. I've stumbled over a lot of blocks, and there's gonna be more blocks to stumble, my brother.
No. It's what's ahead of you, not what you've avoided, but what
I mean, what's ahead of me, Scott? Give me examples.
We don't know.
Right.
That's
So it's a hypothetical,
weird
weird question to ask. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah,
what's going to happen in the marketplace?
Yeah, Larry's just going to go through his paces, and
we can play the what if game all night. You know, but I can tell you what is. You know what I mean? You can ask me what if, but I can tell you what is.
Right. Well, Scott, think of it like this, right? You've been in the business a long time, right? So you work for Marvel, work for DC, I mean, did anybody see back in '88 Image happening in '91? Nobody saw that.
No.
Nobody saw that, right?
Nobody saw it.
But it happened, right?
Let's we're bringing up Polito, right? Let's use Polito for a second because I love how Carlos and Larry are bringing him up because I like Polito. I've studied Polito. Polito's very first crowdfunding book was $15,000. All right, that carried over from the people that followed him from back in the 90s. Mm-hmm. Did anybody from that group, his peer group, see what he did with reacquiring his property and turning it into, this guy's bringing in close to $3 million gross a year on crowdfunding alone.
He just made 500,000. Just the latest one just crossed the 500,000 mark. So he made $500,000 on this.
Look at that shit. Yep. Look at that. And he runs a campaign every 2 months, right? He goes between Lady Death and La Muerta. He's bringing in the dough. He's paying his team. All right, and he's excelling, and he's got people like us that are just trying to fucking study him. I mean, God damn it, God bless him, because he had something, he fucking lost it, and he was able to grab that shit back again. That's a fucking gold medal story by itself.
Yeah,
you know. So
that's true.
Coming back to Mark's question, I want people to buy it because I got a team to pay for it. I want people to buy my books, man. Go back to Polito. If you look at the amount of people that work with him or for him, whatever you want to call it, right? However, whatever political correct term you want to use. I mean, he puts everybody on the campaign. He gets them noticed, not just the artists, the writers, the editors. The people packing your books have a little fucking profile on his campaigns, man. God bless that shit, dude. Right?
And I think it also comes down to. Oh, sorry.
No. I mean, going back to the 90s. Right? Did the Image guys foresee that? Right? Did the Bravura guys see that? No, nobody did. And they all fucking laughed and shitted on Polito. Right? But you know what? Polito had how many Lady Death animated movies come out? I think there was like 2, maybe 3.
Well, I got one on DVD right here.
Yeah, okay. So, dude, you know, and this was back then. He was us. Right? He's our fucking gold model standard, dude. So God bless the dude. And God bless the guys like this are just trying to study what the fuck he's doing and apply it. Of course, we're gonna have stumbling blocks. Shit, that's why I'm called Unstoppable Comics. Not because I'm this great big fucking freight train that's gonna crash through everything, but I'm the little train that thinks it can. You know what I mean? You think the deal that fucking blew up in our faces is gonna stop me? I'm not gonna say it almost didn't. It almost did. It almost fucking did. Right? But coming out of this, I'm galvanized, and you know that the properties that we had in the works going into this deal have been refired, right? I didn't know I was going to do what I'm doing now, and I'm excited.
But I will say this: I am putting this out there that every successful endeavors from start to absolute finish into the future, they make the question "what if" a daily thing. No matter how good things are going, no matter how well they're going now, no matter how well they've gone before, and how well you think they will go in the future, you have to be always willing to say to yourself and to your situation, okay, what if this goes wrong or that goes wrong, and you make contingencies for that as best you can. That's the only way to avoid it not going somewhere eventually.
I see your point because you've been there. You've been there for 40 years. You've seen every wave come through. So I can see where your headspace is at.
But he didn't. My apologies, Scott. He didn't see every wave come through.
No, yeah, I know you can't, but you have to ask those questions. You have to be willing to ask those kind of questions in order to keep your mindset in the right place so that when a stumbling block shows up, even a little bit down the road, you'll be better prepared to deal with it. And you can't ever think to yourself that,
And Larry, I'm sorry if I'm speculating, all right? And I apologize.
Don't speculate. Let me hear it, brother.
Hopefully he's taking that $20,000, right, and put 5,000 away for each campaign, right? So at least he knows for the immediate future, he's going to produce a minimum of 4 books, right? And hopefully each one of those 4 books brings back another 20 grand.
All right, pop
so
up
then
my
he
screen,
takes that
JD.
again.
Pop up my screen. All right, let's run through the graph here.
Oh, I see it. Hold on.
Let's show some actual numbers.
Go ahead, baby.
All right. Back in, oops, I hit the wrong button here. Back in a turbulent time called 2015, we launched the very first one with a whole 64 backers and 2003 Canadian dollars in a little black and white homemade book called Niobe.
Yeah.
Next year, we did 99 backers and we gained $400. The year after that, we did 104 backers and gained $1,000. After that, we gained 112 backers with 42. Then we took a slight dip in money with the Avani one-shot. That's basically like our Hell Witch version. Here's a book of our villain, right? And then here's what happened, though. Before we move on to the next one is we changed our teams. We went to color, and we hired some names that were known in the business. Next thing you know, we had 221 backers with $7,200. We put out the second book, 16,000 with 374 backers. We put out our latest one, 400 backers with $24,000.
Way to be, man. Good shit.
The lesson of the story is you're going to have stumbling blocks. There's going to be contingencies. There's going to be what ifs. There's going to be issues. Don't think that we didn't face them all through this. But it's only after 8 years of grinding, blood, sweat, and tears, and never giving up. Because I'll see lots of guys that will do a campaign like this and pack it in. I remember doing $2,000 Canadian, which is about 56 cents American, thinking that we were fucking balling, that we were on top of the world, And it's only up here now that I feel like we've actually just gotten started. After 8 years, we've just gotten started.
Awesome.
And the plan is it's like in wrestling. You're only as good as your last match. We're only as good as our last book. So every time we come out with a book, we got to top what we did before. That's the strategy.
How do you move up the card? And that's something I'm always bringing up to Calderon. How do you move up the card? How do you go from opening match to main event? And Deandre, I'm not trying to preach to you, brother, but half of this fucking game is staying power, bro. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That really, it's being a stubborn SOB and not fucking giving up on it, man. Right? Scott, you've been in this for how long? Because you're a stubborn SOB, right? Right?
Pretty
you're tying up your own
pretty
fucking
bulldog, yeah.
Out there, baby.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the beauty of this, right? There's such a fucking entrepreneurial spirit in self-publishing that it really should be lauded across the genres out there.
Oh yeah.
Because you got guys fucking and girls grinding it the fuck out on this, man. Really fucking do, right? And you want to talk about people who are believing in themselves, believing in the team? That's this right here.
Oh yeah,
that's what this is, right? Carl's just going right back to the fucking beginning.
Yeah, you can't make the successes. Man. You can't make these kind of successes without be willing to put your shoulder to the wheel. All the time.
And hold on for a second. Oh, Carlos, go ahead.
And JD asked, he goes, how do you move up the card? You got to reinvest in it. You got to bring in bigger names. When I first started, my first 2 campaigns, I did well. I hit both of them, but I didn't really start moving up the money till I hired Jason Metcalf. He wasn't cheap, but he's got a fan base. He's got people who love to get his stuff and then flip it on eBay. And what's the guy, the Niobe? What's his name?
Larry.
Larry. So and Larry's showing his thing. Yeah, I had people who were flipping my books on eBay, with the Metcalf cover, and he makes close to 60% of the money that I make on my campaigns are directly attributed to Jason. He's not cheap, so you have to swallow and go, okay, I'm going to pay him what he's asking for. He's a buddy, so he gives me a break. So I have full disclosure there. But still, compared to what others are usually willing to pay, it's not cheap. But I got him to do it, got it colored by someone who's a professional out there, and it took off. And so where the first one was about 2,500 that I made, what is that one?
This is Niobe in the Diamond magazine. This has gone beyond crowdfunding now, boys. This is what I'm talking about. You can start off crowdfunding, and I'm going to keep crowdfunding, but boom, you know what I mean? Right in the big old magazine, man.
Yeah, is that this month's?
No, this was a month or two ago. The book will be out like next month or so.
Yeah, my buddy just got with Antarctic Press, so he's excited because he's going there.
Right? It's Oscar night, right? You look at a movie for a second, and it could be a shitty movie, but if they're paid for an A-list actor, right, they're going to put a hell of a lot more money behind it. Let's talk about Blade for a second, right? And it's only because I remember the story so well. They had 3 options to be the lead. Excuse me. They were seeking 3 different talents to be the movie for Blade. And I want to throw out arbitrary numbers. I think this is what it was. If Lawrence Fishburne had taken the lead, they were going to put $35 million behind the project. If Denzel Washington had taken the lead, they were going to put $55 million behind the project, right? If Wesley Snipes had taken the lead, they were going to put $45 million behind the project. Wesley Snipes ended up taking the lead, and he comes off of Passenger 57, which was which sold a lot of fucking tickets, right? So they upped it, even though they got Wesley Snipes. They ended up going with a budget of $55 million, right? So if we look at that and we apply this, okay, who's not an A-list talent that we can afford, but who's a B or C-list talent that we can afford to try to drive these numbers up? And that's something that Carlos and Larry have been doing successfully. He showed it. Larry showed it right there, right? What the change was when he went for whatever his team, and I don't want to knock his team because they're doing fucking work just like the rest of us. They're grinding the fuck out, right? But he needed to boost his team up there, and he paid the money for somebody who was a bigger talent that can sell those fucking copies.
And it was an investment too. It was a gamble. Like if this doesn't work out, what happens? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I took the gamble as well, and it paid off, but it might have not paid off, but that's what doing a lot of promo. You got to promo your ass off with these things. It's work.
People should understand.
Hold on, guys. We've been going at this for a second. Deandre, did you have something to add?
Oh no. I think the only thing I was going to touch on is, we've long ventured away from. The conversation. Yeah, no doubt. But I think it's all about what place you are as a creator and things like that. Like I come into it and I'm privileged enough and I'm grateful enough for where I am because I don't have to come in and I don't have to worry about selling units because I'm able to keep Odyssey going and I can't get crazy and make thousands and thousands of books, but I don't need to sell units. What's important for me is people reading, me engaging with the community engaging with our books. I went into a con with no books, 0 books. People are like, "You're crazy. Why do you do that?" I'm like, because I'm there, and my team's there, and we got the stuff that we're working on. I got a little bit of merch to make a little bit of money, see if we recoup. But it's about messaging. It's about showing people who we are. It's about engaging with the community. And so many good things has come back from that. So it's not always a zero-sum game. It depends on the individual and what your goal is coming into this. My goal isn't to make Odyssey the biggest, craziest thing, most expensive thing ever. And I think that's some of where Scott was coming from a little bit, where he was saying, because I'm kind of grassroots building as I go along, but I'm also recognizing that it's, due to being able to have the funding and things like that, not everything we have to do will have to be a Kickstarter. We can go straight in production on books and things like that and take our losses in lumps wherever they come and still be able to do business. But being able to build that fan base, of people that get an Odyssey book and say, "Oh shit, this is quality." So I may not have bought this, but I've read it. Maybe I'll come back for it. Maybe I'll see it at a con. I'll stop by. Maybe I'll pick up a poster. Maybe I'll check out the next Kickstarter that they're doing. Things like that. There's no right or wrong way to do it. There's no right or wrong way to go about the process. It's all about the individual and where you are and where your intentions are, where you're trying to grow and go for.
An ongoing fan base of your content has got amazing potential. You should never ever lose sight of that. Because the ongoing fan base that sticks with you through thick and thin is going to be far more valuable, far further down the line than you might imagine. So it's always good to try and cultivate that loyal fan base to your work.
I'm sorry, I got a fan base of over 5,000 people on my newsletter. Awesome. Of those 5,000 people, I've got a 19% open rate. Of that 19% open rate, right? I'm lucky if I get 5% to click through.
That's about right.
Drop those numbers, right? Now, of those 5%, how many do you think are purchasing? I think I've got a great fan base, right? My Facebook numbers are huge. I'm over 7,000 people on Facebook alone.
Right.
But that's not paying my fucking bills. I love that. Dude, I love your spirit. And I don't want to knock anybody. I'm not trying to knock anybody over here. But I've taken a hell of a lot of fucking lumps, man. A hell of a lot of fucking lumps. And I know what it's like to go into fucking credit card debt to produce shit. And this is before we had crowdfunding. You know, coming out of fucking pocket. Right? One of the best things about crowdfunding is as independent publishers, we're not getting advertising dollars. In the old days, it was advertising dollars that was paying for the print run. That was minimizing your cost. So the crowdfunding is the substitution in my mind for what those advertising dollars would bring in there. Right? It's just helping to bring down the cost. And then if you're doing offset printing, you can move product at the fucking conventions. Right? I'm not in stores. I'm not in stores because I'm in stores. I'm going to sit in the back of the store and then the people aren't going to sell the books as passionately as I'm going to do it. I'm not knocking stores. I'll do a nice event at a store, like a signing, a free comic book day, a launch party, right? But I'd rather be there to push and to build, right? And make sure that I establish that connection. So yeah, Deandre, you're doing that outreach, right? But you still got to convert that outreach, because at the end of the day, you got to pay your team, bro. How many times do we hear people saying, "Oh, well, I don't work for exposure"? I love that. I love you don't work for exposure. That's great. That's great. But I hope you're good enough to afford, the rates that you're charging. And if you're not, I'm going to go someplace else. I'm not.
Sure.
All right. That's enough of that. I'm going to answer the question real quick. Look, I would like to say that I would.
So going back into the public.
Pero cállate. Quédate callado. All right, listen, cállate. That if anyone doesn't speak Spanish, means shut up. But
fuck this.
Don't cry. So for myself, I would like to say for people to read it, but in truth, I do need people to buy it. But I know if they do buy it and they do read it, they'll come back for more. So I know that. So let's move on.
I'm surprised my simple question led to such a discussion.
It's a great question.
Yeah, and you said this is a simple one.
I did.
I can't wait to hear the complex question. We'll probably all have an easy answer. Like, no,
it'll be done tomorrow.
Have to write up dissertations, each and every one of us.
I gotta look at my cliff notes for this.
So this goes to what Jay was talking about just a moment ago. The question is basically, do you think a publishing collective could work? Now, this goes back to the situation that we were involved in, Jay and myself. One of the things we did, and one of the positive things that I think that came from it, was that we were able to gather this group of publishers or creators, whatever you want to call them, to get together and gang print. So we gang printed 9 32-page books, 3,000 each. And like I said, we got them for about 65 cents a book.
Oh, good.
And that was after the prices started moving up because of the paper shortage. If we had done it 2 months earlier, it was something like 55 cents. So once those things balance out, do you guys think that it's possible that we can make something like that work within the community? Or even is it something that you would even see yourself could get involved with, right? Let's start with Mr. Deandre. I think you were next.
Yeah, actually, I could see it working. It's probably not going to be something that is going to be easy. I know how difficult it can be. When I was just a fine artist, I used to run an artist collective, and I know how difficult it can be wrangling different personalities and agendas and everything to get people on the same page, and especially when money starts getting involved and complicates everything, as so often does. But if you want to look at a good model for how some people do it, look at the film industry. Sometimes Warner Brothers will, maybe distribute a movie, but maybe, Syncope or Legendary is the ones, producing it. There could even be a third party that helps with that. I think it's something that might be easier to scale project to project. It could be a difficult and potentially unwieldy thing to have it be sort of this large conglomerate, on the scale of something that, we saw the whole variant situation, something like that. And we see the potential risk if something falls, then you have 7, 8, 9 people, publishers, not just people, and then all the people within the publishers being affected by that. And it's definitely something I've been looking at too with Odyssey, where like, hey, I see a book and during crowdfunding, maybe it's not successful. Maybe Odyssey can step in. We see a potential in it. We can work together, form something together to where, we're entering a partnership that's mutually beneficial, and we're, working in accordance on this project to get it done. I think as things become tighter and really people start getting edged out a little bit on how competitive things go, sometimes that might be more and more of a necessity. It might be more and more of a future where we go with independent comic books operating a little bit more like larger publishers and distributors would do, but just like on the scale of what we're doing here. And even sometimes, you guys know, like sometimes getting that extra, a little bit of help, the people that can help you, not just financially, but on the scenes with the marketing and all that stuff. I wish I could clone myself, like make 5 different versions of me that could, help me all across the thing and like get the ideas together and do everything like that. So I really think it's ripe for potential, but I think it's something that's going to have to start in very much so in infancy and grow from there and see where it goes. We obviously can see how something like that can go wrong, but it has the potential to help a lot too.
All right, cool. Scott, you got any thoughts?
A collective that I think you're referring to is it's a many-headed beast.
Right.
I can put it that way. And there has to be enough working parts that are in harmony with each other in order for it to work. And it's very, very easy for just one misplaced element to topple it all, to make it all go away. And I think you have to have, it's not the amount of people or the amount of projects, it's about how coordinated is the mindset, how in tune are each of the people involved in this effort are with each other and with the set goal. And I take, for instance, the example Michael Jordan said in one of the books he wrote about his career, is that he knew about his own fame. He was very, very confident in his own skills and his ability. But the one thing that he was positive nobody ever gave him enough credit for, but he always paid attention to it himself, and everybody on the team paid attention to it. And that was, the goal is to win the game and to win the championship. It wasn't about making sure Michael had his glory moments. It wasn't about anybody on the team being more successful than anybody else. It was about the whole team working together to win that game and to win enough games to win the championship. End of story. Anything else had to be a distant second and a distant third. The consideration has to be, everybody has to be in line with the goals that you all have. And those goals have to be productive and constructive towards the end result. You can't form a given group or a given effort for just one or two ends that not everybody's on board with. You have to all be coordinated, and you all have to be in sync with each other, working towards those goals. If you're not, it might be fun, and you might have momentary successes or individual highlights, but eventually it's just going to come apart, because you can't have, well, the old phrase, too many chefs in a kitchen. I mean, there's you have to have enough people doing this job and that job and that job, but all coordinated. And I think that's what would make something that you're suggesting, JD, as that's what I think would help tremendously in making it successful.
All right, fair enough. Larry, you have any thoughts?
I love this question, because I've seen so many people try to do this, and I've seen so many of them fail. I've yet to see a successful group of guys who formed their own company and they're going to be the next Image Comics. Where is it? It hasn't happened yet, right? And I'll tell you why it's not happening, because Scott's right. Too many cooks in the kitchen. Comic books is a solitary business, guys. When it comes right down to it, I run my own business just like Scott runs his own business, just like C. Ralph runs his own business, right? No one needs to come in and tell me how to do the book. I've watched, what was it, Terraform Comics form and fold within minutes. Yep. You know what I mean? That was a joke. I've had so many of these guys come in and tell me, you should be part of what we do. And I'm like, why? What can you do for me that I can't do for myself? And that should be the number one question you ask them, right? Because I always ask, these small press companies that come to me for Niobe, like, are you in Diamond? Because if not, I got no use for you. Because everything else I can do for myself. Even go in Diamond, I can probably do for myself if I really wanted to, right? Yeah, they're a joke. Here's the thing: you want to network with people and do things with each other. I'll show you how we do it. I'm with a group of guys who you've interviewed on this show already. Sam L. Quinton the other day, Max DeVille. This is Sam's book right here, Reign of Ages, okay? And we're in a little group together. And what we've done in our group is we put ads for each other in the backs of our books.
Oh, nice.
No money's being exchanged hands, nothing like that. We're just doing cool things for our friends, right? Here is Human Hunters from Max DeVille. Right on the back, boom, Niobe ad. You know what I mean? You open up the front, and right here is ads for Sister Mercy and 47 Furious Tales. We're not in the same company together. People would look at this and probably think we were, but the idea is to give a sense of collectivity without actually being an actual business together. You know what I mean? Because those fail. Because once you start dealing with money and a bunch of people arguing about money and squabbling over money and who, it becomes a power trip. It becomes an ego trip, and these businesses always lose. It's fun to watch the train wrecks.
Yes,
fun.
definitely.
Pretty tragic, actually.
Carlos, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking, one, hey, I'm glad you asked the question, because it was my question. I got skipped over originally. I was never able to ask the question to you guys about the whole first issue that we talked about. And that was going to be my question to you was, do you think it's viable to make this work, but with different parts, with different people running it instead of Varian running it? Say you ran it instead, taking his position, but it also comes down, Scott was so on the number with that, is that it's going to take people wanting to divvy up the who's going to be doing what, and it's going to have to be long-term thinking, and it's going to take a lot of time. So if you don't think you have the time to be able to actually move it forward, then it's probably not going to work. Or you're going to have to find someone that's got the time to be able to put into coordinating the whole thing and doing the whole bulk printing and figuring out what the number's going to be for each publisher. Because I don't think it'd be fair for, say, JD to get 10,000 printed and then someone else to get 3,000 printed. So there needs to be somewhere, okay, the top is going to be 5 and the bottom's the minimum. You're going to have a minimum, and then get that coordinated. which I think is different from what Larry's saying, because I have to say that I've had a collective that I've been a part of, Power Company and Coalition Comics, for 6 years now. Let me throw that up there. Beautiful Jason Metcalf cover, but Power Company, we've been in business as a collective for 6 years. In that time, I have had so many people try and copy us and say, we're the next Image Comics. We're the next. First of all, we're never going to be the next Image Comics. We're just a collective of publishers that came together, pooled our money, and we vote on things. That's how we've been able to be successful and continue this for 6 years now, where I don't know how many countless people have come. Oh, me and my buddy and this guy, we're going to get together and we're going to do it. And then they throw out a promo piece and then you never hear from them again, right? Because they don't know how difficult it was. We have called each other motherfuckers. We've had people leave the, so
some deserve it.
So we started with 8 people, 8 publishers, and 8 publishers threw in 1 bad guy and 1 good guy, and then we basically cooked up the story and went from there. And in that 6 years, we've lost 4 people who quit because of various reasons. And then we just replaced them, and we kept going. And the bylaws from the beginning so that you were going to put an equal share. So whenever it was time to pay for pages, we split it 8 ways. When it was time to do promo, we split it 8 ways. And if you weren't pulling your weight, then we vote. And that's how we always work things. Storylines, suggestions, ideas, we vote. And it's a majority. So 5 votes are yay, then it passes. And then we move from there. We've always said if your suggestion is voted down, there's no moaning and groaning. We're professionals. We're grown-ups. We move on to the next thing. And it's worked for us. It's not easy because there's times when I want a certain person that I would like to hire, and then they're, I don't think we should invest in that. And then they vote me down. And then I'd say, you motherfuckers. But it has worked, and we've moved forward. We're going on issue number 4. Each Kickstarter has grown to the point where we are now at 8,000, and we're hoping to hit 10 on the next one. And if we do or more, it's going to be even better. But it hasn't been easy. And like Larry said, I've seen them come and go. They try and they realize, oh shit, Bob wants to put in $100, but Stan only wants to put in 50. That doesn't work that way. It's got to be everybody 100, or eventually you're going to get dissension, and then that leads to people.
Oh yeah, so many friendships have been ruined over these things, man.
Oh
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
Absolutely. I know, because there are some people that I was very close to in Coalition Comics, and we don't even barely speak anymore because of whatever reason. And so we've just been lucky. We've been able to make it work. Most other people haven't been able to make it work. It's just because they realize making comic books is hard work. It's not easy.
Yeah, takes an effort.
But JD, if you want to go ahead and take over Variant and form your own collective, I'm all ears.
Well, it's a thought. And I'm only thinking about printing. I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm not looking to distribute. I'm not literally just printing.
Oh yeah, if you can get me a deal. If you can get me a deal on that, because
I think there needs to be some healing of scars first before anything happen.
Yes. Definitely. Mark, what are your thoughts on it?
So before I answer that question, Carlos, that image in the background, I know that image like the back of my hand, the War of the Independence from Dave Ryan. My character's on there.
It is not.
That is not War of the Independence?
That is not. It
looks like War of the Independence.
That is Kevin McGuire's his Justice League, where he took all of the characters.
Oh yeah, it is. You could see it.
Oh,
okay. I don't have my glasses. It looked like the War of the Independence. I was like, holy crap, somebody has that. I could not believe it for a second, and now I know why.
That's so weird you say that, because one of my next projects coming next year is Clash of the Champions, which is basically based off War of the Independence, where I have 40 different creators who pitching in their characters to do.
Did they ever finish that miniseries?
War of the Independence? Not yet. He's still working on it.
Now you know why. There's too many chefs in the kitchen, and that is ultimately the problem at the end of the day. You guys nailed it on the head, right? And I don't think, I'm sorry, JD, I don't think it'll work, bro. I don't. All it takes is one person to say, oh, I can't make it this month, or, they're late because they couldn't manage their title on time, and fuck up the whole financial scheme that goes into this.
So for the printing, I think it is possible as long as it's under the right leadership.
Well, that's another thing too. I think you have to have a set person or persons that definitely steer the ship, that definitely make overall decisions, but again in harmony with everybody else. And there has to be somebody that when a gap happens, you're the person to put something or someone in that gap and make sure it continues onward.
And no promises of Spencer's or Walmart or this and that, because the whole Walmart thing, I haven't heard a peep about. There was a few people who got their indies into Walmart with their whole indie program. And that was all hot and heavy for about 2 months, and then nothing. So I don't even know if they're still carrying those titles.
They've been on Indiegogo putting out trades. Look at I forgot the guy's name, but those are good looking books. Yeah, the Brightwisers. Yeah, those are good looking books. I mean, I don't know if any of you guys didn't pick any of them up. Those are good looking books, man. They had some they're professionals working on those books. And those books,
one of the guys is Kevin Griveau,
right?
Yeah, he's in there.
Underworld,
Yep.
And that's his stuff.
Yeah. Nora Side was good looking.
Nowhere.
Yeah, but they're putting out trades and they're doing it through Indiegogo, but it's always a tough road. We know how it is. But listen, I'll say this though, Jay, you're wrong. I know you're wrong because I led a group of knuckleheads to print 9 books at a good price. Right? That wasn't Varian who did that shit. That was me.
You led with the right leadership. That's what I'm saying.
I got those prices. When you guys were late, who was barking at you? Was it Varian? No, it was me. That was my role. So I know I could make it work, but it would require dedicated, very serious publishers. That is the truth of it. Because the thing I'm thinking about is Larry. Going back to Sam, I spoke to him the other day. Super impressive dude. I mean, that dude is a brain, man. That guy is pushing that envelope, and he's pushing it hard. Yeah. And I respect the hell out of that. And the thing he was telling, the thing we were talking about was he's self-distributing through various retailers, and he says he's almost up to 1,000 books just selling it through that route. The only thing that I found that I found a little disheartening was he's printing through a certain company where the margins aren't so good. So, but if he had better margins, because that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about margins. So if you have a $5 book and you're selling it at $2.50, if you can get that for 65 cents, 60 cents, that margin is nice.
Oh, but you got to understand that Sam is paying for premium paper on his covers. It feels like velvet when you touch it. So he's not going as cheap as he can. You know what I mean? Like
right. Well,
that's the funny thing with us indie guys. We'll spend the extra dough on premium quality shit, right? Yet you've got the bigger companies that they use
printing on tissue paper.
Yeah. Marvel just got a bunch of shit for they just released stuff that was supposed to be like
That's
it
what
felt
I'm
like it was on
bringing up.
toilet paper.
That's what I'm bringing up. You know what I mean? If we could afford it, we'd make every fucking page cardstock. You know what I mean?
What I'm talking about, Larry, is like because as a collective, you got bargaining power. So you can approach that same printer and say, look, there's X amount of us printing X amount of stuff. We're going to bring you X amount of business. And then at that point, you can start negotiating a better deal for yourself. That's what I mean.
Yeah, but that requires a lot of trust. I don't have any trust with anybody. You know what I mean? I can't trust 8 guys to go in business together with and hope it all runs flawlessly. No, that's how I work, right?
I understand.
No, I got. Hold on, I got a whirly thing. All right. Well, that's not entirely true because you trust Ben Dunn and Anti Press to do your stuff for you.
Yeah,
but
they
they
get paid, right? And I get paid. You know, there's contracts involved too, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a legalese and a business, you know, legality to it all. This isn't just 5 guys on a handshake deal here. This is paperwork being signed that's legit.
Yep, I've seen the contract because we were talking about having American Revere on there, but I'm just not happy with it. So I just didn't want to turn it over just to turn it over and be in Diamond. My buddy did, and I'm happy for him. He's on the same deal that Larry is.
Well, yeah, what book is his book?
It's Marvelous.
Marvelous. Yeah. He was in Exciting Comics then, right?
Yes.
Right. So that's how we got our break. You know, they took one of our stories and chopped it up into 4 parts in Exciting Comics and then offered us basically our own title, you know.
Nice. And so, and I'm proud of him. He's in, I was there from the beginning. I was his editor on Marvelous. So it's one of those things where I was started from when people were making fun of him because he was trying to do it in his own. And he's a cartoonist type of art. And he was like, that's not, and I had to tell him, it's like, you need to hire a professional and have a professional artist do it. And he listened, he did it, and now he's in Diamond. So I applaud him. And I will be going with Diamond with New Remarkables. I just got to get over this issues that I've had in my personal life that keep popping up that put a delay on it. But now's not the time to be going in. No offense, but with this whole paper shortage and COVID and all of this, now is not the time to get it done. Your margins are going to be much smaller than so in some ways I'm kind of glad that my deal for New Remarkables is delayed, because I'd rather see it come out at the end of the year now than now, because it was supposed to come out now. I'm just not.
Now, I want to say something about Diamond, though, right? It's great to be in there for clout, but there's not a lot of money in it. But like, let's be honest, right? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Antarctic Press is a small company. You know, my first royalty check from Antarctic Press was $107.
Woo! You did awesome.
You know what I mean?
You did awesome, because I had some other
we're coining it, right?
Yeah.
But it is extra eyeballs on the product. You know, people who never come to Kickstarter before may walk into the local comic shop, you know, walk by the shelf, and then maybe they see Exciting Comics by Randy Green from Witchblade and go, oh, I like that, and pick it up. And then maybe that then translates into them coming to Kickstarter next time around. Or maybe they buy more Niobe. Maybe we just hooked them onto something new. Chances are your buddy's in one of these books right here, if not all 3 of them. You know what I mean? This is 19. This is 18. I got them all mixed up now, but you know what I mean?
And Dan's in there.
Yeah.
And I consider Dan a friend and a colleague, and he's in there. And it's exposure. It's that next step. You got to take the next step. You can be happy with being Kickstarter, but even Polito's in Diamond, so he doesn't exclude that either. So
those are 4 books in this one: Cat Girl, Nothing Man, and Niobe.
It's beautiful stuff.
And these are all done by indie guys. You know, Nothing Man was on Kickstarter. This was on Kickstarter. I'm pretty sure Cat Girl was on Kickstarter. And the cool thing is like, if you want to get into the actual Diamond and stores and stuff, you know, you're not going to probably start off with Image, Marvel, or DC. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But Antarctic Press allows you to own your own work, kind of like Image. You know what I mean? And you can still crowdfund. So I was like, oh, you mean I can go ahead and go to all the cons that I used to do, be on Indiegogo, be on Kickstarter, and you're going to publish me. There's no restrictions. I could just go and make the money I was making plus a little side, and you put me in stores. Hell yeah, that's a win-win, man.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep. All right, gentlemen, we made it to the 2-hour mark. It's time to say goodnight. So,
before we do, real quick, if I may, Deandre, I said I would give you a little bit of advice. The idea of trying to bypass all that negative imagery that might have come from, like with variant and all that, I would say here's something to consider. When you approach people or you're involved in situations where you're definitely trying to build trust, keep the situation as simple as possible and always offer people the deal or the parameters where they're not going to lose at all. And so if you keep it in that, if you keep the elements that in that way, you'll have a much easier time building trust because you'll have a much easier situation by delivering what you say, not over promising what you can deliver. And everybody who even hears about it to begin with realizes on their end automatically that it's going to be a win-win for them, even if it means a little bit of loss for you, because building that trust, building that rapport, building that reputation over time with many people in many situations is going to serve you far further down the line than trying to make something big happen right away with no way to really make it happen. That's what Varian got in over his head. So just keep it simple, make it a win-win for them, and just simply deliver every time that you say you will. That's all it takes.
Yep, that's that's solid advice, and that's why I try to live by. Like I've had a couple of deals that fell through, and they go not through anybody's fault, but it's just life stuff that nobody can control, not because parties think all that stuff. Like an artist had a book done already. I was like, hey, I really like this. It would fit well in the Odyssey brand. I would like to publish it, and not getting into all sorts of things like that, but like, hey, I will advance you. We'll do a run of 300 comic books. I'll advance you your royalties from the 300 because I think we can sell through them. And at the end of that, the 300 is up. If we want to continue it, we can continue it again. If not, hey, I was printing some more books, got in front of some more eyes. I didn't spend a whole bunch of money that I didn't need to. You didn't take risks that you didn't need to. I don't own any of your IP. There's nothing for you to lose. And all it takes is just a little bit of investment from me. And then we could get it done, and then kept it simple. And we came to agreement with that. Maybe that's something we'll pick up next year or something like that. But yeah, 100%. That's how I try to go forward with everything.
Just as simple as possible. That's the best way to do it.
All right.
Okay, thanks JD for that.
Gentlemen. So, Larry, please let everybody know where they can find you and your work, sir.
You can find me underneath a rock somewhere, probably crying. No, table drunk somewhere. We're going to be doing. Man. Well, this is done by Greg Bo Watson, colored by Dan O'Bara. This was going to be our Indiegogo exclusive cover, but we've canceled our Indiegogo because we weren't doing so great on there, and I'd just rather focus on Kickstarter. So we're actually transferring this cover to be a Kickstarter cover for our first ever trade paperback. So we're going to give you Birthright 1 and 2 and Origins all in one big volume. And then we have this cover as well that's going to be a part of it, featuring our new character, Sybil, who's basically like our Jean Grey, Emma Frost type telepath here in the blue. And then after that, we're doing Niobe Outbreak, which is our own very own Outbreak story. It's going to be like a 4-part miniseries. It's going to be like our biggest Kickstarter ever. And this is a gorgeous cover by Zenoscope's very own Keith Garvey. Sean Fournier, who's done work for Dynamite. Courtney Rose Dameron. Everyone loves Courtney Rose. R.B. White, who's done work for Action Lab Comics, Zenoscope, Heavy Metal, you name it. This here, I think this is Eduardo Garcia, who's done interior work for Robin Hood and Cinderella of Zenoscope. This here is going to be like probably our big seller. This is Paul Green and Ula Moss. You know what I mean?
Ula's awesome.
Yeah, Ula is colored for all the greats. Jamie Tyndall, J. Scott Campbell, you name it, she's done it. You know what I mean? And we're so lucky that she's willing to lend her name and her talent to us. You know, just had this cover turn in today by Max DeVille's artist from Mary Machine Gun. This is our newest villain, Cinder. She's, you know, no pun intended. She's gonna light it up. You know what I mean? In Outbreak. This here's a great cover by Justin Hunt, who's done a lot of, you know, various work for Brian Pulido and Big Dog Inc., you know, Mr. Tom Hutchinson. We got this cover's not colored yet, but it's in the works right now. Once we actually have this colored, this is done by Chris Williams, then we're launching our trade paperback. Like if Dan turns this in tonight, I'm launching tonight. You know what I mean? Like I got it filled.
Nice.
We're just waiting for this cover to be done. Someone showed us Somewhere in Time homage, Six Gun Gorilla guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is also from Somewhere in Time.
It sure is.
Right? This is done by our interior artist, Juan Antonio Altaveras.
Nice.
And then we have a cover done by Mark May. Mark May is like, I want to do a cover and I want to do it for free. And I'm like, I want to let you do it for free. And so he did us a cover for free. So we got lots of cool things coming up. Find me on Facebook, Niobe Comic. Find me on Instagram, Niobe Comic. Find me on Twitch. Find me everywhere with Niobe Comic. I think that's pretty much how she rolls, boys.
Nice. Like it. Scott, where can they find you and your work, sir?
Loitering about my Facebook page,
right,
and various Facebook feeds, and doing what I can to hang around and cause trouble at these kind of podcasts. So that's where you can find me. That's where you can find me these days.
Cool.
I'm doing shows too. I'm going to be releasing a list of all the shows I'm going to be at from now to the end of the year. It's like 12 or 14 different events and or shows I'm going to. So I'll be releasing that soon. Just
Nice.
keep your eyes and ears out, and we'll see if I can't infect a lot of people.
Nice. Deandre, where can they find you, sir?
You guys can find me at comics_odyssey on Twitter. Just look me up on Facebook. My name right there on the screen. And of course, you guys can check us out on Kickstarter. We got a new Kickstarter launching this week. As soon as I get off of this, I'm plugging back away, doing sample pages and letters and getting the Kickstarter up and everything. I'll give everybody just a little quick preview.
Yeah, let's see, man. I want to have a look.
Here, put it.
Because I don't know everyone's books. Like I must have missed it at the very beginning. I'm sure you guys went over them. You know what I mean?
Right. So here's our pre-launch page. My ugly mug right there. Oh. Going to it. Ubi's is a project that I am very satisfied with because we got this as an open submission to Odyssey. I helped develop this from the ground up, putting the team together, putting the look together. The story is by a first-time comic book writer, Nathaniel Villanueva. He sent me the pitch. I liked it. We worked with it. I made him rewrite the story about 20 times. And then we went ahead and greenlit it and got it going. The art is by Rafael Dantes, who's doing the pencils and inks. Wonderful guy. And he's really just bringing, it's a joy actually coloring his work. I'm doing all the colors, the editing, and the letters myself to get this thing done and off the ground. We got the cover right there. I'm actually getting the pages turned in now. This is pure, this is just old school comic stuff, man. It's a really funny story. If you like stuff like X-Men, Teen Titans, everything like that, this is something that I think a lot of people are gonna love. It's really funny. We're doing a lot of cool things with the story. And right now, yeah, it's just a matter of making sure that we're getting the word out. We got some followers on our project. If anybody wants to check out the Kickstarter page, they can just go to search up Ubi's #1 and that'll pull it up, and then we'll kick it off this week, man. It's going to be a good one, and we've been successful on previous 2 Kickstarters. Hopefully we'll go 3 for 3 with this one and get it done.
Nice. Carlos, where can they find you and your work, sir?
Normally I give a big rattle off a bunch of links, but I'm not going to do that this time until I get my link tree. So you can find me by simply Googling Champion Comics Group. We're going to pop up. I'm going to pop up. Champion Comics will pop up. You can also go on www.championcomicsgroup.com, but that's pretty mundane right now until we can build up. We're building that website, but just Google Champion Comics Group. We have, again, the Torvald the Viking versus Taranis the Thunderlord with that amazing cover. There's
Cover does rock.
There is Team Supremus, which is officially cover there, and Jester popping out. American Revere. That's a Joe Correa cover. And then, of course, people are finally getting their New Remarkables #1. There's the Jason Metcalf cover. And I am finally getting these sent out. And people are getting these in the mail from their Kickstarter. But that's what I got going. I got the Team Supremus Zero, the extended edition, is almost done. We're down to the last 2 pages, and then that'll be going out. And then on June 1st, I'll be kicking off the Kickstarter for New Remarkables #2.
Awesome.
Nice. Scott,
yes.
Put up your book. Put it up. I want to see it.
There we go.
Not your tongue. There you go.
First time you never said no tongue, Jay.
This is true, but we're live. So.
Okay. Errantry, the adventure magazine of fantasy and sword and sorcery. It's just sword fights and dragons and magic and all kinds of really cool stuff. Old-fashioned look to it, some more modern coloring. It's just, I'm so excited about it. It's just so cool. The little text story there, and it's taking a book that I did 42 years ago, and I've resurrected it to be this modern, brand new, all redone, and it's just epic, high adventure. Oh, we just absolutely love it. Just love it. And I'm going to be personally selling it one at a time at every show and an event that I go to.
Nice.
Just one at a time. Hey, we'd like to buy a comic book. Hey, we'd like to buy a comic book. And meeting everybody that buys it and shaking their hand and thanking them personally. And we'll see where that's going to take.
Nice.
So
I
that's
like
what we got going.
All right. Mark, where can they find you and your work, sir?
Alrighty, so we are the official show of the Big Apple Con. So you can Google www.itcamefromtheradio.com. We are on a actual radio station on 88.1 FM WARY in Westchester County, airing multiple times after 10 p.m. Monday through Friday. You can also find us on btd.radio on Thursdays at 4 o'clock, sci-fi.radio every Wednesday at 8 a.m. and 8 p.m., and also on Indie Volt at 6 p.m. on Fridays. And we're also on about 40 different podcast places you can find us on. And our next live show, courtesy of the East Meadow Public Library in East Meadow, Long Island, New York, is going to be on the 13th of April. And we have comic book creator George Medina is going to be a guest. And Instagram, cool. Twitter, and Facebook as well.
Awesome.
Nice. So Jay, Mr. Rosario, where can they find you and your work, sir?
Yeah, everybody's pulling out their books, so I gotta pull mine out too. You know what I mean?
Go for it.
Pull it out. Maybe you don't want to pull it out.
Crazy.
Easy.
All right, you can find me at unstoppablecomics.com. By the end of the week, we are transferring servers. So once that's done, the website will be back up. After that, other than that, you can find us Unstoppable Comics on Facebook, Unstoppable Comics on Instagram, or Jay the Unstoppable on Instagram. But some of the books you can pick up, ladies and gentlemen, will be one of our flagship books here, The Storm Chaser. Can you give me a big screen? You give everybody? Yeah.
I know. You require the whole screen. I know.
Wow.
Go ahead, big boy.
Pull it back, Jay. Pull it back a little bit.
We got the Storm Chasers. This is a trade paperback, 100 and something pages. Right, that's one of our artists. We've got Unstoppable Origins, which gives you the origin stories of some of the characters that show up in the Storm Chasers. That is also a graphic novel over there. Shield of the Interceptor, our flagship character over at Unstoppable. If you're into zombies, there we go. New York versus the World. Who says zombies only exist in the state of Georgia, baby. I'm biased. I'm from New York. We will survive a zombie apocalypse.
Awesome.
Right? And this is another one of our babies going to be retitled as Fist of the Dragonstorm when the second volume launches. So you can pick up that and more pretty soon at unstoppablecomics.com.
Awesome.
All right. Nice. Now, hold on. I want to show off a few books, too.
Hey.
So, look at this. Shield of the Interceptor. Look at
Excellent.
that. Nice. Great book. Right?
Yes.
Illustrated by Russ Leach, because, Rosario can't be bothered to, name his artist. But anyway.
I wasn't naming myself.
Well,
Only Death Can Save Us by Russ Leach.
Yes.
Nice. This is The Revolt. This is an anthology book by Randy Zimmerman. Has some of my stuff in it too. Hybrid, Son of Gods by Luke Stone. Great book. Now, just to let you know, these are all the books that are currently available on Indiegogo. So it's all 9 books, $25 plus shipping.
Awesome.
Right? It's on the Long Shots campaign. You didn't say the Long Shots.
Yes, the Long Shots campaign. Yeah, I should have put it up, but what the hell. Anyway, next time. Hero Bot Zero, also by Randy Zimmerman. Great book. God's Hand by Anthony Figueroa and Marcus DeGazi. Fantastic book.
I love that cover.
Great. The Oswald Chronicles,
Who wrote that?
That's my book. I don't want to talk about
Some
it.
guy wrote it.
Some young upstart,
Yeah. But the artwork is by Jade Gonzalez, colored by David Montoya. There you go. So,
It looks
at
great.
least I know my artist. This is The Well Keeper. This is done by D Fish. Beautiful, beautiful book. I'll just flash it real quick. It's all in black and white. The illustration in there, this lady can draw. That's all I can say. And she can write. So,
Yeah, D's very
Awesome. Awesome.
all right. Tall Tales. This is illustrated by Daphne Lage, My Better Half, written by myself. And again, another one in black and white, but great illustrations. A lot of words, though. A lot of words. It's kind of like Scott's books. A lot of words.
I'm looking forward to that. And Daphne's work is without question. It's just awesome.
All right. And then my current campaign for the Oswald Chronicles is these 2 books, and they're up there right now. That's on Kickstarter. So that's enough for that. Find me on Facebook or wherever the hell, and find me here next Sunday. There you go.
Nice.
Thank you, everybody. You guys are all fantastic. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Carlos.
Thanks for
Deandre,
having me,
Scott.
brother.
Take care.
Listen,
Thanks
you
much,
guys are all
guys.
fantastic. Great conversation. I'll talk to you
Bye,
guys next
everyone.
week.
Bye, guys.
Take care,
Thank
folks.
you.
Mark,
Yeah.
Jay, have a good one.